Hey guys, it's Mark from the Sports Corner, and in this video, I'm going to give you my top 10 teams, my power rankings. I'm also going to give you guys the list of the teams that I believe are the fool's gold teams. Teams that look good, but when you dig deeper, they are not good, and they are fooling us, and they're probably not going to go nowhere. So let's get started. Let's break down my top 10 teams. Just going to give you a brief explanation on those teams, and then give you an explanation on the fool's gold team. So let's get it started. And for my number 10 team, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers still have a great defense. They're only letting teams score about 14 points on them, so that's great. And they changed to Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson had over 260 yards passing and 2 touchdowns and no interceptions, so that's really great. It's good to see that. And Najee Harris has back-to-back good running games with over 100 yards. Is this a new awakening for him? Because they could sure use a balanced attack, not just keep on passing the ball. Because Wilson's not like Justin Fields. He's not going to use his legs that much. But good balanced attack. Maybe this is the reawakening for Harris. And maybe Wilson rejuvenate this receiving core. The only thing I got wrong, I don't like about the Steelers is they have played the majority of the teams they've played, all the teams have crappy offenses. They played the Falcons, Broncos, Chargers, Colts, Cowboys, Raiders, and Jets. And then they play the Giants next week. A lot of those teams, the great majority of them, are just really crappy in offense. Just really bad. I think the best team right there might be the Falcons. Other than that, they still have some good pieces around them and a really great defense and a good head coach. So give me them at number 10. And for my number 9 team, I have the Buffalo Bills. Bills make a great trade for Amari Cooper. I've been saying from the week 1 they needed a weapon. Nobody was scared of the weapons. Nobody. All they had was Jared Allen and Cook. And Cook is right this year, he's like just above average running back. So everybody was just scared of Allen. That's it. So they finally go get a weapon. Cooper's going to help the good tight ends they have in Knox and Kincaid. He's going to make the whole other wide receiving core look great, and Coleman and Shakir. And it's going to help the running game out because now they don't have to, just watch Cook and Allen all the time. So great decision to go trade for him. They're getting Von Miller back after this week. I believe he comes back week 9. So they get another good pass rusher back. But the only thing that scares me with the Buffalo Bills, the only thing that worries me is that they might be a little bit of fool's gold because the teams they've beat have a combined record of 10 wins and 23 losses. That means they defeated all the teams they defeated are all shitty. So that's what scares me. The toughest team they maybe possibly defeated was the Arizona Cardinals at 3-4. That's it. That's pathetic. They beat the Dolphins, the Jaguars, and the Jets, and the Titans. Those are all awful teams. They lost to all teams above 500, all good teams. They lost to the Ravens and the Texans. So they beat the crappy teams, but they lost to the good teams. So what is a Buffalo Bills? Are you a good team or are you a bad team? So that's what scares me. They're in the top 10, but they may be some fool's gold if they can't beat the top teams. So we'll see. But good trade for them to get Amari Cooper, and that just helps the whole offensive out. And Von Miller, when he comes back, will help that pass rush out as well. And for my 8th team, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, people may say that this is a homer pick because I'm an Eagles fan, but the decisions the Eagles have made in the last 2 games, I think are looking like it's really going to help this team out. Looks like they're turning to a running game, relying on Barkley and relying on Jalen Hurts' legs and Kenneth Gainwell, and they have all their weapons are healthy. AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, the starting tight end, he's coming back this coming week. He was out last week, so that's great. So and the decision to move Cooper DeJean to slot corner over Maddox is already paying dividends. They're using the guy over the field to sack people. He's fast. And they sacked the quarterback in the last 2 games 13 to 14 times in the last 2 weeks. So it looks like the sacks are coming home. So it looks like it's better. They're using people they're just making better decisions since the bye. And that's what I think the Eagles are at number 8. talent-wise, they're one of the best talented teams in the whole NFL. They just got to put it all together. Now, our left tackle is still out. He's one of the best left tackles in the game, but they have a stretch of easy games so far, and they've won 2 games in a row of that easy schedule. They do have the Cincinnati Bengals coming up, and they're a little hot. They're coming in on a winning streak, so this will be a tough matchup. But overall, I like the decision the Eagles are making on defense and them turning to what looks like a running team instead of passing first. And that's only going to help this team tremendously. And for my 7th team, I have the Houston Texans. Texans are coming off a tough loss against the Packers. They lost by a game-winning field goal. So that kind of a bummer for them. But, they have a bunch of weapons. They played without Nico Collins. If Nico Collins plays, they probably beat the Packers, to be honest with you. Mixon is looking good since he's come back from the injury list. They have Tank Dell, they have Diggs, they have Schultz, and they have really good defenders too. They have Will Anderson, and they have Hunter to go after the quarterback. Stingley in the back end for the corners. So they have weapons everywhere. But what concerns me is they're in the middle of the pack for everything in their team stats. They are 14th in points that they put up 23.6 points, which is ranked 14th. They let opposing teams score 22.7 points against them, which is 17th. And they're 15th in rushing. So they're in the middle pack of all these stats. Their best stat is the passing offenses ranked 10th in the NFL. You want to see that to be better when you have Nico Collins, Tank Down, Diggs. So, since Nico got hurt, it looks like, they are struggling a little bit in the passing game. But that with that being said as well is that, they should have beat that Packers game. They should have beat the Green Bay Packers because Love turned the ball over a few times. I think he had 2 interceptions. And when somebody has 2 or 3 picks, you should be probably winning that game. But they don't. They lose that game. And other than that, they beat the Patriots, the Jaguars, the Colts. These are all crappy teams. They beat the Bears. The Bears, they're 4-2, but I don't think the Bears are going anywhere. I don't think they're making the playoffs. And they beat the Bills. And the Bills, that's before they got Amari Cooper. And, the Bills themselves haven't beat any really tough competition whatsoever. So how good are the Bills? We don't truly know yet. So that's why I have them at 7. They have weapons. They just had to put it all together. And I need to see a little bit more that they're better than these mid-range numbers they're putting up. So if they put it together, there's a good possible chance they go in the top 5. And my 6th team, I have the Cheeseheads, the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers, if you look at all their statistics, they look really great. They're one of the best offenses. They're really good defense. They only allow 20 points, which is ranked 10th. They are number 9 in passing. They're number 5 in rushing and number 7 in points. They put up 26.6 points a game. So it all sounds good. It looks good. But we have another team that when you look at the record, you say, who did they beat? They lost the Eagles. They beat the Colts. They might be 4-3, but they're one of the worst 4-3 teams you will see, especially with Anthony Richardson starting. They beat the Titans. Titans are garbage city. They lose the Vikings. They beat the Rams. Rams are terrible. They beat the Cardinals. Cardinals, don't care if they're 3-4. They're one of the most inconsistent teams in the league. They beat the Texans. They're best in defeat. So, I want to see a little more from the Packers, that they could beat the better teams. They play the Jaguars this coming week. They should blow them out. But then they have the Lions. That's going to show us if they're as good as they are. Now, the Lions are going to lose. They're not going to have one of the wide receivers playing the game, Jameson Williamson, because he's suspended for 2 games. So that might, slow the Lions up a bit. But we'll see. But the Detroit Lions will be their biggest test. And the number one thing, for God's sakes, Jordan Love, would you stop turning the ball over? The guy leads the league in interceptions. He's just throwing the ball to everybody. This guy's playing like Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite, just throwing interceptions. If they're going to be successful and for the rest of the season, they need to cut down on that. because once they play top teams like the Lions, they got coming up, the Vikings, their whole division's good. So if they play any tough teams like that and they're turning the ball over constantly, especially Jordan Love, they're not going to win anything. Okay? Jordan Love turned the ball over against the Eagles. Eagles beat them. Eagles dropped 34 on them. So if the Packers are going to make some real noise in the playoffs, if they're going to move in the top 5 of anybody's power rankings, Jordan Love needs to stop turning the ball over. Okay? So I like the Packers. They really got a good offense. They got a good defense. But man, turnovers are a problem. And for my 5th team, I have the Washington Commanders. Now, the Commanders can be easily off this list by next week or 2 weeks from now. Because when you see who the Commanders defeated, you start thinking to yourself, have they beaten anybody? These are the teams the Commanders have beaten. They've beaten the Giants, the Bengals, the Cardinals, the Browns, and the Panthers. Not one of those teams are above 500. And some of those teams are just awful. So who are the Commanders? Are they just a team that beats up on bad teams? Or are they a really good team that should be on top 10 teams on power rankings? I don't know. Now, I like the Commanders because of Jaden Daniels and Brian Robinson. That's a good, actually, running combo. Really great. And they have other weapons. They have Austin Eckler. They have Scary Terry. They have Zach Ertz. They have Noah Brown, a good pickup by them. They have OZ, another wide receiver they picked up from the Eagles. They have good weapons surrounding Jaden Daniels. And they can run the ball really well. But their defense is trash. Definitely trash. But they're 5-2. And their offense could stick with anybody. But what I come to is, who have they defeated? They have defeated no one that's worth anything. They do play the Bears this coming week. And this is where there's going to be their big test. But also, Jaden Daniels is out. So we're not going to get who the Washington Commanders truly are. If Jaden Daniels miraculously plays this game, they could beat the Bears. But if the Jaden Daniels does play this game and the Bears beat them, I'm taking them off my top 10 list. That just shows me they can't beat the good teams. The teams they've lost to, the Buccaneers and the Ravens, are above 500 and teams that are possibly going to be in the playoffs. The Ravens are definitely going to make the playoffs. So this was what I'm talking about with the Commanders. Are they a good team? Are they just a team that looks good that beats on worse teams than them? So I think they're on the cusp of being a good team ranked in the top 10 in power rankings, or a team that is fool's gold and will be out of the top 10 and possibly not that good of a record at the end of the year. And for my 4th team, I have the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are coming off a close loss to the Detroit Lions. That was a really great game, by the way. The Vikings, even though they lost a tough loss to the Detroit Lions, they're still 5-1. They've beaten the Texans, the 49ers, and Packers, and they kept it really close to the Lions. So they're worth, being in the top 5 of anybody's power rankings. They have great weapons in Justin Jefferson, Addison, and Aaron Jones. So they got a good 3-headed monster right there. And they should be getting Hawkinson, a really good tight end, real soon. He should be coming in the next couple of weeks. So they're just adding another weapon to this good offensive core. And Sam Darnold is having a good year. He's coming down just a little bit back to earth, not too much, but he's still having a decent year. He has 12 touchdowns, and he has over 1,300 yards passing. So that's really good. So they have all the weapons on offense to stick with any team in the NFL. But what it gets to, what people forgot why I took Detroit money line last week, is that their secondary is not that good. So that's what concerns me. Detroit dropped 30 on them, okay? The Packers dropped 30 on them. So you see these teams that actually have really good offenses, they dropped big numbers on them, 30 points. So the Vikings need to strain that defensive out. Maybe go out there and make a trade for a defensive back, because they need somebody in the secondary to keep up with the best teams in this league, especially the best teams that can pass the ball. But other than that, they're 5-1. They're in a very, very, the toughest division in the whole NFL in the NFC North. The Bears, Green Bay, and Detroit all have winning records, so they got to stay on top of the ball. But I still like a lot of their weapons. They just need to shore up that secondary, and if they do shore up that secondary, they might be able to crack the top 3 of anybody's power rankings. And for my number 3 team, I have the Baltimore Ravens. This team could run on anybody. The combination of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry has probably one of the best quarterback running back combos in the history of the NFL. I would love to somebody check that up because it got to be maybe one of the best or the best running combo that the NFL has seen. I mean, Henry has 873 yards rushing and 8 touchdowns and 2 passing touchdowns. So that's 10 total touchdowns. And Lamar Jackson has over 1,800 yards passing and 15 touchdowns. He threw 5 touchdowns last week. So he is looking fantastic. There's not many weaknesses on this team. They have a good, solid receiving core in Bateman, Flowers. So that's a good 2 wide receivers right there. Then they have 2 good tight ends in Likely and Mark Andrews. And they got Justice Hill, who's a good catching back and a good running back in general, backing up Henry. So you have all these weapons, the number 1 rushing defense, and they're tied for the number 1. They put up 31 points a game, which is tied for first. So they're putting them a lot of points up. But, big but here, they have one glaring big weakness, and that's their secondary. Their secondary is awful. Teams have picked good points on them. The Buccaneers put 31 points against them. The Commanders put 23. The Bengals put 38. And the Cowboys put 25. Okay? So teams are putting up a lot of points. I mean, for the Cowboys to put 25 points against them, that's pretty pathetic because the Cowboys have one player to throw to, and that's CeeDee Lamb, and that's it. But teams are pitting up a lot of points against them through the air. So if I'm the Ravens, if this is the year I think I'm going to go for it all, I would make a trade to get somebody in the secondary because your whole secondary is just god-awful. So they're great at passing. The best team in rushing. One of the best rushing teams maybe in the history of the NFL. The number 1 rush defense, but a terrible secondary, which that's how teams are going to keep up with them. So they need to fix that to actually have a run at the Super Bowl. And the team that I have number 2 in my power rankings, that is the Detroit Lions. The Lions are just rolling teams. In the last 3 games, the Lions have put up 120 points. They put 42 points on the Seahawks, 47 on the Cowboys, and they put 31 on the Vikings. That is damn good. You know, they have the best 1-2 punch running backs in the game in Montgomery and Gibbs. Now, Derrick Henry is better than both those guys, but they still have the best combo in those 2 guys. They have a great receiving core in St. Brown, Tim Patrick, and Jameson Williamson. Jameson Williamson now is going to be out for 2 games for suspension, and they have Laporta at tight end. So they still have good weapons, okay? It's going to suck that Williams is going to be suspended, but what are you going to do? And they have a great offensive line. So, and they have Jared Goff, who doesn't turn the ball over a lot. The guy's efficient. So they have a great offense that just been rolling on teams. But the Lions, like other teams, their secondary is not so great. The Seahawks put 29 on them. The Vikings put 29 points on them as well. They need to shore that up. The rookie cornerback, I think, leads all cornerbacks in penalties in general. So they need to do that. And they need to go get another defensive end. They lost Hawkinson for the year. Their best DN, probably a top 10 defensive end in this league. They lost him to a season-ending injury. So even though they beat the Vikings without him, I still think they need to go get a defensive end or any kind of pass rushing help to really put this whole team together. So they have a great offense, maybe the best, one of the best. They rank 3rd in points scored. So that and just making a trade to get a other pass rusher, And I think their secondary could be good enough to last, maybe go to the Super Bowl, but maybe they want to get another guy in the back end. But other than that, though, they have all the workings to be a Super Bowl team and get there too for a very long time. And no surprise here, the number one team in my power rankings is the Kansas City Chiefs. Now the Chiefs are 6-0, the last undefeated team. They blew out the 49ers by 10 points. And before that, they beat the Saints. Now, Mahomes not having his best year. They lose Rice for the year. I don't know if they lose Pacheco for the year, but they lost him for several weeks. He's still hurt. Who knows when he's coming back? But they still find ways to win. They go sign Kareem Hunt, who was looking great. He looked great against the 49ers. And then Juju comes out of nowhere and picks up a really good game against the Saints. He was hurt for the 49ers game, and they still beat the 49ers by 10 points. So they just find things done because they have a great coaching staff, the best coach in the league in Andy Reid, and the best quarterback of all time. Yes, I think he's going to be better than Tom Brady. So, just smart people all around this team. Their weapons are depleted, and they're finding ways out to beat anybody or beat good teams. So with that, Kareem Hunt, like I said, great at rushing the ball. But also, their defense is really great too. Teams are only putting up 17 points against them, which is ranks 5th in the league. So they're just not just all offense. They have a good defense, and they lost a really good corner to the Titans in the offseason. So they're still showing you that they're still a great team, still a well-coached team. So that's why they're number one. They have the best quarterback in the league, the best head coach in the league, and they're just surrounded by smart people all around them. Well, there you guys have it. My power rankings, my top 10 teams. If you guys like somebody different, let me know in the comments. Tell me who your top 10 teams are. What are your power rankings? The season's been awesome so far. It's been so many upsets, so many, dramatic wins. It has been great. So far, it's been a profitable year for me, and hopefully it's been a profitable year for you. It's been so much fun. So if you could give me a like and subscribe, it's for free. Helps out this small little channel. I love doing it. I gave you guys 4 best bets last week. They all swept. So just give me a like. That'd be great. But guys, I'm having fun doing this. So please tell me everything in the comments below if you like what I'm doing. Tell me your power rankings, like I said. Tell me who you think, what I got wrong, or am I just out of my mind? But guys, I love doing this. I'm going to give you guys my week 8 picks on Thursday or Friday, more likely on Friday. So with all that being said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.